The King's Scarred Leakin Luna. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 2. I leave Kyson in the bathroom, feeling terrible for scratching him and hoping it will heal quickly. I close the bathroom door and make my way back to the bed. Trying to clear my head, I snatch the phone from where I left it earlier and try to call Abby again. Something must be wrong with Kyson's phone because it won't even ring, just beeps in my ear before hanging up. My anxiety about not knowing what is going on with her starts making me itch, an involuntary reaction I've always had to anxiety. Seeing Ganon that upset keeps eating away at me, what does he know that I don't? I call her again, no luck. My gaze moves to the bathroom, wanting to ask him to fix his phone, but also not wanting to argue with him again. So instead, I walk to the door, growling as I open it and realize I can't walk past the threshold, like some barrier or force field prevents me. I growl angrily at his command and my inability to fight it. Dustin, noticing me, comes over. Something is wrong with it. Can you fix it? I want to call Abby, I tell him, and he takes the phone from my hand. He fiddles with it and then tries to call her, but the same thing. Her phone is off. It isn't the King's phone, but Abby's, Dustin says, and I furrow my brows worriedly. Try her again, I tell him, but it is the same result. I'm sorry, my queen, but her phone is definitely turned off, Dustin tells me. Why is it off? Nodding, I take the phone from him before closing the door. Nausea rolls over me, and I don't know if I want to throw up or throw something. My instincts are all over the place, fear and anger at Kyson, anxiousness, all of it bubbling up and beginning to spill over. Before I even register what I've done, I throw the phone, my hands clenching into fists and fur growing up my arms. I try to stop it and regain control. Kyson opens the bathroom door at the same time I toss the phone at it. His reflexes are so much quicker and more controlled than mine, as he snatches it from the air before it smashes into the bathroom door. He looks at the phone, and I notice his face has healed, but has surprisingly left a faint scar down his face. Kyson growls, pocketing it while I try not to shift. My wrists and ankles crack as the urge becomes overwhelming, and I have no idea how to stop it. You need to calm down, Kyson says. That is easy for him to say, another thing entirely to actually do, especially when it comes to Abby. I am out of my mind with worry. Clutching the dresser, my claws slip out of my fingertips, scratching into the mahogany-stained wood. Azalea, do you want help, or are you shifting? Kyson asks, while I try to breathe through my fingers, stretching and growing longer. It is so odd hearing him use another name for me, but I prefer the name. Ivy is weak. I no longer want to be Ivy, but I also don't want to look weak by asking him for help because I really don't want to shift. It took ages for me to shift back last time. Such a stubborn little thing, you are, Kyson growls just as the heat of his body presses against my back. My claws slice through the wood of the dresser, and I feel my canines elongate painfully. The stretching and moving of bones grosses me out but is nowhere near as painful as my first shift, but it is still unpleasant. Do you want help? Kyson asks as his hands fall on my hips, and he tugs me flush against him. I growl and nod. Please, I grit out through clenched teeth, knowing I will be stuck in my Lycan form without his help until my body shifts back on its own. So, I allow it and melt against him when he purrs, the calling washing over me, making goosebumps rise on my flesh, and every nerve ending begins to buzz, as the urge to rub myself all over him becomes overwhelming. The urge to shift leaves as he holds me against him. Breathe, Azzy, come back to me baby, Kyson purrs, his hands rubbing along my ribs. My head rolls back on his chest. That's it, love, let go. Just breathe, Kyson soothes while I turn to Putty in his arms. We will get Abby back. We just have to be patient, Kyson purrs next to my ear. You should have told me, I snap before purring, anger and lust mingling and blurring the lines between both emotions, fighting a war within me. So you could be like this and worry about something you can't control? Kyson asks, and his hand slips beneath my shirt to my stomach. You're the king, you can order him to return her. And start a war for the abuse of power? Just because I can, doesn't mean it is allowed. I may be king, Azalea, but we live by the law, and the werewolf and Lycan council members would look for any reason to take down a Lycan royal. I can't break the laws that I created. She needs to leave on her own. But is she safe? You spoke with her the other day, Kyson answers with a sigh. Then why is Ganon upset? Kyson growls, his arm tightening around my torso before tugging me toward the bed. Alpha Kate has a wife and kids that Abby doesn't know about, also a few girlfriends on the side, Kyson tells me. And you let her go with him. I snarl, turning in his arm and shoving him off. Ganon tried to tell her, but she wouldn't listen. Then you should have told me. I would have convinced her. She would have listened to me, I yell at him, my anger spewing over, and fur grows over my arms, my neck cracks. Kyson's calling grows stronger, and I close my eyes, trying to catch my breath and calm down. You can speak with her on the phone. If she says yes, I will send Ganon to go get her, but until then, love, my hands are tied. You're the king. Order the council to be okay with it. I can't do that. I will have every pack breathing down my neck if I do. Just because I am king doesn't mean I can make my own rules as I go, Azalea. Do you think I don't want to do that? Ganon is one of my best friends. I don't want to see him hurting just as much as you don't want to see Abby hurting, but my hands are tied. Hurting? What do you mean, Abby is hurting? Kyson sighs and pinches the bridge of his nose. The chest pain she feels, her pain is caused by his infidelity, not something being wrong with her. The mate bond can feel it, but you two girls were never taught any of this sort of stuff, so she thinks there is something wrong with her, but it's because Kate is screwing other women who aren't his mate. I growl, my anger emblazoned and so hot I want to hurt something. SHH, calm down. You can convince her to come home. She only needs to reject him, and it is all over. She can come home then. I promise we will get her back, Kyson says, his hands sliding up my arms and rubbing them as he steps closer. Her phone is off, I tell him, and he sighs. I will call Kate and ask him to get her to call you, Kyson says. He steps away, pulling the phone that I threw from his pants pocket. I follow him over to the bed as he climbs into it. Kyson dials his number, and I crawl onto the bed when he pats his chest. With a sigh, I lay down, placing my head on his chest. I listen to the phone ring, and it doesn't take long before Cade answers it, and Kyson puts it on the loudspeaker, so I can hear better without straining my ears. "Good afternoon, my king," Cade answers, his voice rather chirpy, and I growl when Kyson's hand clamps over my mouth. "Cade." "Abby isn't answering her phone," Kyson says. "Oh, yes, she dropped it in the sink accidentally. It got wet. I have ordered a new phone for her," Cade replies. "Are you with her now?" Kyson replies. "Oh no, I am working. She is at the pack house with my Cassandra." "So, you told her about Cassandra?" Kyson asks. "Of course, she was shocked but is accepting since we have 3 kids together, they have been getting along great. Cassandra adores Abby and is excited to have another woman in the house." I furrow my brows, and the growl that leaves me is loud and unable to be stifled with just his hand as I reach for the phone, wanting to demand to speak with her. However, Kyson moves, rolling on top of me and nipping at my neck, the calling seeping into me louder, forcing me to relax beneath him, yet defiance rears its head within me, and I bite his shoulder viciously. Kyson growls in warning to let go. "You seem to have your hands full, my king," Cade says with a laugh. Well, I want Abby to ring this number as soon as possible. I have a mate missing her friend and very concerned after learning you are already married," Kyson tells him. "Ah, I see," Cade replies. "Good, because with them being so close, I am sure you can imagine how upset Ivy was to learn her friend ran off with a married man." "Oh, Cassandra is fine with it. They will be like sister wives in no time. My mate's concern is for Abby, not your wife. Have Abby call us, or I will be coming down with Ivy to see her." "Oh, no need. Abby is perfectly fine. I will have her call you in the morning when I return home." "Video call," I mouth to Kyson, who presses his lips in a line. "Get her to video call, or we will come to visit. Ivy wants to see her," Kyson tells him. "Certainly, my king. First thing after the ladies get the kids ready for school, I will ensure she calls," Cade answers swiftly, and I glare at the phone, wanting to snatch it off him and yell at Cade. I don't like his tone of voice. Something is off, or maybe I am just too angry with the man because he tricked Abby. "Very well, we will speak soon," Kyson says, hanging up. He leans over and places the phone on the bedside table before staring down at me. "You bit me. You used your calling on me, to try to shut me up," I retort. I push on his chest, and he exhales but rolls off me. "You will speak to her tomorrow, okay? He won't put her on if something is wrong, and she is now aware. He said she is okay with it. I know Abby, and there is no way she would be okay sharing her mate or being lied to." "Well, we'll see tomorrow, won't we?" Kyson says. I growl, and he rolls on his side, tugging me closer. Just as he goes to turn me to face him, a knock is heard on the door, making him glance at it, and the door opens a crack. "My king, it is Trey. Clarice sent me up with your dinner," Trey answers, and Kyson sighs heavily at the interruption. Just put it on the coffee table, Kyson states, sitting up and swinging his legs over the side of the bed. He pats my hip with his hand. You should eat, he says. I glare at the wall, much too upset to eat. Thank you, Trey, the king says, and I hear Trey leave as Kyson climbs off the bed. Ivy, up and eat, or am I to call you Azalea from now on, he says. I roll my eyes, knowing he will keep nagging, and I force myself out of bed. I walk over to where Kyson is sitting by the fire and sit next to him. Azalea, I answer his question. I don't want to be Ivy anymore. He nods, sliding my plate over to me. Azalea, it is then. I will tell the staff too about the correction. Now eat, he says, pointing to my plate. I pick up my knife and fork to dig into the steak and salad. Whereas Kyson just has a different assortment of raw meat. You never eat salad? I ask him, noticing how usually he only eats meat. I do, but rarely. Lichens are carnivores. Our sense of taste changes after a while, he says with a shrug. So I won't like salad and vegetables after a while. He chews his food and seems thoughtful for a second. No, you still like all food. You will just prefer certain things to others, but if it makes you feel any better, Dustin is vegetarian and a lichen. Hey? But everyone here is lichen. How could he be a vegetarian? Yes, but he chooses to be vegetarian, and I still like fruit, etc. I just prefer meat. I can't believe Dustin is a vegetarian. I tell him, a little stunned by the information. Kyson chuckles, but it explains why I have never seen him eating meat now that I think about it. Hey, I never noticed, I tell him. I suppose you also never noticed that he is gay, then. Kyson says. He is gay? I ask, shocked once again. I don't know what I thought a gay man would look like, but I always pictured them more feminine, and there is nothing remotely feminine about the man. Yep, which is why I assigned him as your guard. Plus he asked to be placed as your guard when you came here. When I came to my senses, Kyson says. Why are the good-looking ones always gay? I mutter. Excuse me. Kyson growls. What? You said it yourself, he is gay. I was just making an observation, I laugh. I don't want you checking out my guard, Azalea, Kyson warns. I wasn't, but come to think of it, Damien is nice looking too, and, I tease, my words trailing off, seeing him become jealous. I have no interest in any of them, and none are as gorgeous as Kyson. Oh, and. Kyson growls, and I laugh. Say one more word, and I will put you over my knee, the king growls. However, his words don't scare me, instead, they sent a thrill through me, wondering if he actually would. Ganon's all right, too. I can see why Abby likes him, I snicker. He leaps over the coffee table, his growl ripping through the air as he lands on top of me, making me laugh. Are you teasing me, my queen? Because if you're not, I may have to kill my entire guard to stop your wandering eyes, he says, pinning my hands to the floor while he nips at my lips and rolls his hips against me. You can't kill your guard because they don't just belong to you. Besides, Dustin is my guard, not yours, so you can't kill him, I tell him. So not only are you claiming your title back, but you are now claiming my guard? Anything else, my queen? He asks, and I purse my lips. I am yet to claim my king. I think I will claim him, too, I tell him. The king growls, and his lips press against mine hungrily. Azalea, my bond flares to life as he presses his entire body against mine. His tongue dominates my mouth, tasting every inch. His skin against mine makes my whole body tingle, his scent invades my nose, and a purr escapes me as I kiss him back with the same desire. I want to mark him, the bond screaming for me to forever tie him to me. My canines slip out, nicking his lips, and he growls, rolling his hips against me when there is suddenly a knock on the door. Kyson pulls his lips from mine and growls at the disturbance. I tilt my head to look at the door and sigh when he climbs off me to answer it. Kyson speaks in a hushed voice to someone before shutting the door and striding back over to me. What is it? I ask, seeing the troubled expression on his face. Another body turned up? A child. He shakes his head. No, a woman's body. I need to go speak with the pack who located it. I'll come with you, I tell him, getting to my feet, but he shakes his head. I won't be gone long, an hour tops. I am not going to the scene, I will let Damien handle that, Kyson tells me, and I sigh. It isn't something you want to see, I won't be very long. Eat. Hopefully, I will be back before you fall asleep. Dustin is outside the door, so if you need anything, just call out to him, Kyson tells me, then bends down and kisses the top of my head. He goes into the walk-in closet and pulls on a black top and leather jacket before leaving. After he leaves, I eat my dinner, then grab the tablet to fiddle with the writing and reading apps. I really love playing with the text and voice commands. However, I have to call Dustin twice to fix the tablet when I go into something I can't get back out of. Grabbing my dessert off the tray, I go to sit on the bed, my back aching from being hunched over sitting on the floor in front of the fire. But once again, I feel sick. The bond has me yearning for my mate, and my whole body feels uncomfortable. I squirm, my stomach turning violently, making me run for the bathroom. Sweat glistens on my skin as I break out in a cold sweat. Rinsing my mouth, I go to lie down and crawl under the blankets, shivering. Hours pass, and I can't sleep. Instead, I toss and turn until I hear the door open, and Kyson quietly enters the room. I have the lights off, hoping sleep will take me, only it never does. Kyson, noticing I am still awake, comes over and presses his hand to my head. Your skin is warm, he murmurs. Do you feel hot? I shake my head, I feel like I am freezing, despite the sweat drenching me. I tried to get back as soon as I could, I thought you were sick, you felt off through the bond. Must be your heat coming on, Kyson says, sniffing the air, and I watch his brows pinch together. He looks confused. You don't smell like you're coming into heat, and your scent isn't affecting me, though. Strange, he mumbles to himself. I wrinkle my nose as he leans down, pressing his lips to mine, and he chuckles. Sorry, the alpha I met with is a chain smoker, he says with a laugh. You smell like an ashtray, I tell him. I will go shower, but I think I might call in a doctor to check you over, he says. I shake my head, not wanting to be prodded and poked by any doctors or stuck with needles. Besides, I'm sure it has to be the bond. No, I think it's the bond. I started feeling sick not long after you left, I murmur, trying to close my eyes, which feel scratchy, like sandpaper. Kyson growls and doesn't seem to like my answer but nods, anyway. I will be quick, he whispers, and I nod to him, tugging the surrounding blankets higher, trying to warm up. Just as he is about to leave, I call back out, wanting to know about the girl who was found, remembering why he left in the first place. The woman? I ask, and he stops and quickly sits back on the bed. A rogue again. However, this one we found ID on, or a form of ID anyway, a library card, Kyson answers. Was she a slave? We aren't sure, but we think so. She had a heap of condoms in her handbag, a few miscellaneous items, and no wallet, but tucked in the back of her handbag, we found the library card, though it is rather old and in a different state. Next of kin? I ask. Kyson shakes his head. Unsure. Damien is going to see if the library still exists. We only have a name. The card is really old, and we can only make out the first name, Blair, he tells me, and I nod. The name doesn't ring a bell, but I still feel sad for the woman. He hops off the bed and makes his way into the bathroom, and the light hurts my eyes, making me squint at the brightness. Even the motion of him climbing off the bed makes me queasy, his weight causing it to dip and spring back. I lay there for a few minutes until his scent wafts out the open door with the steam. I wiggle to the edge because my instincts want me to go to him. My teeth chatter and goosebumps spread across my body the moment I pull the blanket off. My hair is drenched in sweat and sticking to my face. I climb out of bed and stagger to the bathroom, wanting his scent, knowing it will reduce the churning in my stomach. The bond is crying out for him to ease my discomfort. My vision blurs as I make my way into the bathroom and black dots flicker before my eyes. I can hear my own breathing in my head, each breath becoming harder to take as I force myself to breathe. Stumbling almost blindly with my hands outstretched when someone's hands grip my arms. Tingles spread up my arms. Azalea. Kyson calls and I clutch my stomach. I don't feel good, I tell him, my voice barely audible to my own ears, bile pools and fills my mouth. The taste is terrible, and I gag, throwing up everywhere. Kyson jumps, not expecting it when a wave of dizziness washes over me and everything goes black. Just before I lose consciousness, I hear the king scream out for Dustin, then I no longer feel anything. Kyson, I pace outside the small infirmary. The doctor kicked me out because I was becoming aggressive as they poked, prodded, and jabbed her with needles. Dustin is inside with her because I feel like wringing the doctor's neck every time she cries out. Especially since he shoved a tube down her throat to pump her stomach, and she woke up abruptly. It caused me to shift and grab the man. Seeing the frantic look on her face pushed me over the edge. She kept slipping in and out of consciousness and freaking out each time she came to. Any news yet? Damien asks as I pace out in front of the door. I growl and shake my head as he approaches. Damien sighs. They locked you out. I nod, too angry to answer when the brown door suddenly opens, and the pack doctor from the small town outside the castle gates walks out. He scrubs his hand down his face and through his mud-brown hair. The doctor watches me warily, straightening his white coat before he steps closer to Damien. His eyes glaze over as he mind-links my beta. He is clearly frightened while I am in my Lycan form, however, I am focused and in control. So it irritates me that he addressed Damien first when she is my mate. "Are you sure?" Damien asks him. "Positive, her blood work showed it, and so did her stomach contents." I snarl, making Dr. Rick jump. He hides behind my beta, his eyes wide with terror. "What's wrong with her?" I demand. Dr. Rick hands me her paperwork with shaky hands, and I snatch it, staring at it, but it looks gibberish to me. "Answer me," I snarl, shaking the papers at him, commanding him. "She has ingested poison. We found it in her system, my king," he stutters. "Poison? Someone poisoned my mate?" I ask, startled. I wasn't expecting that to be the answer. "Kyson, calm down and keep your head," Damien snaps at me, and I glare at him. How could he say that when someone tried to poison his queen? "What sort of poison?" Damien asks. "Water, hemlock and wolfsbane are in her system. You should check who is working in the kitchens or, more importantly, with the queen's food. I sent Dustin up earlier to check your food, my king. Your food was untouched, but the fruit bowl had traces of both plants in it. Azalea was targeted specifically," Dr. Rick tells me. "I want all the kitchen staff to be in the kitchen within 10 minutes. Send all of my guards to wake them and bring them down, no one is to be unaccounted for," I tell Damien. "I will send out the alert," Damien says, and I watch his eyes glaze over as he mind-links our men. "Is she awake?" I ask, turning my attention to the doctor. "No, my king. We have given her something to counteract the poison. She should be fine within a couple of hours," the doctor tells me. "Tell Dustin to remain with her until I return," I tell him, stalking off toward the kitchen where everyone will be meeting. I am absolutely furious, and I now have a traitor among my staff, one who has tried to hurt Azalea. Now I have to figure out who is overseeing her food. They will pay. Clarice is the first to walk in, rubbing her eyes and dressed in her floral nightgown. Her hair is in rollers. She yawns before flicking the lights on and jumping when she notices me standing in the kitchen center, leaning against one of the steel tables. My anger refuses to let me shift back, and I can see she is startled by my presence but regains her composure quickly. All the guards were warned not to tell the kitchen staff about the meeting. Damien quickly marks her name off as he steps in with the folder containing a list of the kitchen employees, but Clarice is far from a suspect. I trust Clarice with my life and Azalea's, but she will be able to tell me who cooked our meals tonight and who was stationed on since she handled the kitchen rosters. "My king? What is this about?" she asks, staring at me worriedly, trying to fight the yawn I see taking over her. She fails to contain it and covers her mouth, yawning loudly. Damien waves her forward to speak with her while I watch the 30 kitchen staff members file into the room wearing pajamas, looking confused and dazed at the late-night wake-up call. They all line up, the room filling up quickly. My personal guard is stationed by all entrances, blocking the exits. They speak among themselves in hushed whispers, trying to figure out what is going on. Who was responsible for cooking the king and queen's meals tonight? Me, always me, Beta Damien. I don't let anyone else cook for them. Why? Clarice asks. Azalea's food was poisoned, and we don't think it was the first time. She was sick also on the night of her shift. They found water hemlock and wolfsbane in her system. Is she all right? Clarice asks, becoming instantly alert, and her eyes flick in my direction. The fear on her face is palpable, and her eyes are glassy as if she is holding back tears. Yes, but we need to know who was in the kitchen when you were cooking, who had access to her food, Damien explains. She nods, looking worried. Only 8 of us, she answers quickly. Point them out for me, Damien tells her, and she grabs the staff schedule off the wall, which has everyone's timesheets. She points out everyone, and I let Damien interview them while the others stand around nervously before I command them one by one to answer. I'm hoping to weed out any liars, but we find none. Besides Clarice and Azalea's guards, no one has gone near her food. I turn to Clarice, since she is the only one I have not commanded to answer. She sighs. Kyson, it's okay, my king. I know you have to, she says, focusing on me. I feel terrible. Clarice has been with me since I was a kid, and I know she never would, but I'm not going to trust blindly when it comes to my mate. My guards are under oath to protect my mate and future queen and can't go against the promise. There was no way they could even if they wanted to. I'm sorry, but I have to be sure, I tell her. Clarice is under oath, but none of the staff know that. I need eyes on the staff, and I know no one will tell her anything or confide in her if they knew. I trust her, but for appearance's sake, I have no choice. She nods in understanding. Clarice is the oldest of my staff, besides Tanner, the gardener. My command drops all the kitchen staff in the room to their knees because they cannot fight it. A king's command is excruciating when used at full strength. I swallow and nod to Damien, who grips her arms, so she doesn't hit the ground as the rest did. He looks away, and I know he feels terrible. He loves Clarice like a mother. I am sure everyone in the castle does, since she raised most of us when she was still my nanny when I was a small boy. She has been by my side since I was a toddler. She raised half of those here in this room alongside me, everyone here taking their parents' places within the castle walls when they retired. Did you poison my mate? I ask her, commanding the answer out of her. She shrieks and drops, but Damien grips her tighter. Tears spring in my eyes, and she shakes her head, gasping. No, my king, she rasps out. Do you know who did it? I ask, and she screams, the sound so agonizing some of the staff break down, and others cover their ears. I cup her face in my hands and brush her tears away with my thumbs. No, my king, she answers. Do you suspect who might have tried? I ask her, tears slipping down my cheeks, and she cries out before peering around at her kitchen staff. No, my king. I sigh, dropping the command. She pants, her face flushed, trying to catch her breath, and Damien rubs her arms. It's okay, son. I know you had to, she whispers, clutching my hands in her shaking ones. Her words don't make me feel any better about using it on her. When I find out who did it, I will not just punish them for what they did to Azalea, they will get double for making me hurt the woman who raised me, I assure her. She nods, and Trey rushes over, grabbing her arms. Damien lets her go before getting her a glass of water and helping her hold the cup to her lips so she can drink. Help her back to her room, I tell Trey, and he nods quickly. 1 minute, I say, stopping him. All the food. Where have the orders been going out to? I ask her. The fruit is from here, obviously, the rest are ordered in from town and the usual shipments we receive, she answers. She points a shaking finger toward the back wall. All order forms are pinned over there, Kyson, she says. A few of the kitchen staff gasp at the casual way she addresses me. In front of the staff, Clarice always called me by my title except when Azalea was around or my guards. Clarice recognizes what she did and quickly corrects herself, but I shake my head. You know you can call me anything you want, Clarice, I tell her. I know, she says, and the kitchen staff look relieved that she isn't being punished for it. Not that I ever would punish her for the casual use of my name or anyone for that matter, not that I would tell them that. Everyone slips up from time to time, but considering she is the woman who used to change my diapers when I was a baby, Clarice has earned her the right to call me whatever she wants and has never been afraid to scold me, either. Damien fetches the paperwork down and the kitchen inventory lists from the notice board. Everyone is dismissed for now, I tell them, allowing them back to bed. Damien hands the documents to me, and I shake my head. You handle it, I want to go check my mate, I say, and he nods before following me out and back to the infirmary. When I enter, I see Dustin sitting beside her in a chair while holding her hand, rubbing circles on its back with his thumb. He quickly stands, but I shake my head. He looks terrible, and I know guilt is eating at him. Has she woken yet? I ask him. Briefly, she asked for you, he answers, and I nod, brushing her hair from her face. Did you find who did it? He asks, and I shake my head. No, but until we do, I will be cooking all the king's and queen's meals, Damien says, cutting me off. I was about to say I would do it. I will be. You are to stay with our queen at all times. Fine, you're a better cook than me, anyway, I tell him, and he snorts before sitting at the desk in the corner, going over the paperwork he retrieved from the kitchen. I stare down at Azalea, and my body starts relaxing. I suddenly shift back abruptly. Dustin clears his throat, averting his gaze before standing. I will get you some clothes, he says, exiting quickly. Damien laughs. The only time I see that man blush is when one of us stands naked in front of him, Damien says, unfazed by nudity. Not like we hadn't seen each other plenty of times before. I am confident every person within the castle grounds had caught sight of me naked at some point. I take his seat before grabbing her hand and kissing it. Gan and Liam agreed to come with me. I have to make sure whoever I take has a strong stomach to handle what I have planned for the bastard who touched my abbey. Liam is part of the king's royal guard, and the man has an iron gut since he is the king's executioner. Liam is like a ghost, half the time you don't realize he is there. The man is as silent as the night when he wants to be. He is also just as trapped up in the head as me, probably why we get along so well. He is also the only person who knew of my mate. Liam is like a brother to me. He is older, not by much, but we grew up together, and he was raised by Clarice, just like most of us guards in the castle. But just like Liam, I never speak about my past. It haunts me, but out of everyone, Liam and I have no secrets between us. He even helped me cover up what I did. Kyson is aware that something had happened, but I don't think he truly knows what or who she was to me. Or if he did, he never mentioned nor acknowledged it. One thing I do like about the King's Royal Guard, we all grew up together. It's why the King trusts us. We all know most of each other's secrets, definitely the King's. We all know Liam's, it's why no matter how unhinged he becomes, the King can never turn his back on him. Kyson, Damien, Liam, and I are best friends, but I know even Kyson and Damien have their limits. They would look at me poorly if they knew what I did, especially after what I did to her, so I never told them. How I survived, I'll never understand. Most lycans die without their mate or are driven insane, yet still, I'm alive if you call my existence living. For so long, I have purely existed, my life holding no meaning until Abby came along. However, I'm pretty sure Damien and the King suspected something was up because I never showed interest in looking for my mate, but that was because I had already found her. I met Sia a year before Claire died, and she was a normal she-wolf. I thought it was a mistake. Lycans aren't usually mated to common werewolves. She rejected me the same day I met her. The only issue was that lycans can't be rejected. The bond doesn't just go away for us. The bond doesn't end until one is dead. Werewolves can reject each other. While it's painful for them, the bond eventually severs. Even so, it took years after her death for the bond to die out completely, something I never thought would happen. I assumed I was stuck with longing for a bond that didn't want me and was dead and buried for her betrayal. A betrayal I couldn't look past. I held out hope she would come to her senses. That was when I learned werewolves could reject their mates. That was one difference between our species that became so obvious to me the day she did it. Ironically, she could reject me and feel nothing toward me while I would be left pining for her and feeling her betrayal. And in our case, it could have killed me. After 2 years of it, I killed her. Liam helped me destroy the evidence, and I know Kyson and Damien would have forgiven me for it or convinced me to hold off longer, but I didn't want their pity. I didn't want their concern when it wasn't needed. I had it handled. And the King was grieving his sister. At least I thought I did. It made me cold and unfeeling, and I detached from everyone. The only time I felt anything was when Kyson would send me to do the jobs nobody else wanted, and usually, Liam came with me for those jobs. I relished it, relished their screams, and eventually grew an appetite for it. Then Abby came along. I didn't want her screams, I wanted her. I wanted her love, and I had never wanted another woman since Sia and was content forever to be alone. But Abby stirred up feelings I thought I was no longer capable of. From the moment she came into my quarters accidentally, an obsession was born, one in which I wasn't sure was healthy but still better than the void I have felt before she came into my life. So, we are going back for that headmistress? Liam finally asks, something he doesn't do frequently. I glance over at the man, surprised he asked anything at all. He has a massive scar down one side of his face that goes from his hairline to his chin, though it is barely visible. Liam is almost blind in that eye, which is funny considering he is our best gunman. Not that we have much use for guns, but they made things easier than risking the king when he travels. Like the rest of us Leakin men, he appears to be in his mid-30s. Her in another, I answer him as he unrolls his knife pouch, no doubt to make sure he has all his trusty knives. The man has a knife fetish. Who else? He asks as he runs his thumb down the blade, letting it slice him, testing its sharpness. The butcher when we find out who he is. A butcher, he snorts. Well, that is interesting. I wonder how he will feel when he realizes it will be his meat you're cutting into. He glances at me with a smirk. So the Alpha and his mutt-son know we are coming? Liam asks. Nope, but I have the paperwork if they kick up a fuss. To bring him in, he asks. I snort and smile. He knows if I'm hunting, and he is with me, this isn't a catch and release mission. Well, I suppose they wouldn't have sent you if it was as simple as taking them in, he says, rolling the pouch back up. So, what did he do to the king? Liam asks. Not the king, to Abby, I explain, and he exhales, pushing his fringe from his eyes and turning in his chair to look at me. Ah, now I know why he sent us. Knowing all this just adds to the list of reasons why I need to get her back. And I will get her back even if I have to go behind Kyson's back, I'm not losing her. For now, though, I will wait like he asks to see what he comes up with. I know he will have to, for Ivy. I heard the call go out earlier in the night about her title change, but I am used to calling her Ivy. The king likes to pretend he is in control, but I know he would allow her anything she requested if she batted her eyelashes at him. She will learn he is putty in her hands. She just needs to recognize that, which is precisely why I let it slip about Abby. Kyson can deny me, but he won't deny her for long. Going at Kyson headstrong won't get her anywhere, but she has other ways to get what she wants. She just needs to come out of her shell and play on that, which I know Kyson is dreading when she figures that out. He knows he is screwed when she does, especially with her bloodline. Landinas were known to have certain gifts, so it will be interesting to see if she inherited any of those traits. She has her mother's eyes, so hopefully, she will receive her mother's abilities or will inherit her father's. Or both. Only time will tell. But if she inherits either, she'll be a force to reckon with. The Azures and Landinas were the two original kingdoms, and they were not just kings and queens, they were so much more. Queen is not a title fit for Ivy, and when she realizes that, Kyson is in trouble. So, what did this butcher do? Liam asks. I growl and he nods, as I cast him a warning look. Enough said, he says. We spend the rest of the drive in silence. The long, windy roads are boring, and I pull over and swap with Liam when I feel myself nodding off. By the time we arrive, it is the early morning hours, the sun is just creeping above the trees of the sleepy town. A town I am about to wake with a monster's screams. Ganon Liam's forceful smack against my chest jolts me awake, instantly alert as I catch sight of the town limits unfolding before us. Orphanage first, I command, and he nods, deftly steering the car toward our destination. Leaning over into the back seat, I extract my jacket from the bag, as a chill lingers in the morning air. We pull up in front of the dilapidated building. The orphanage, a crumbling structure on the brink of condemnation, had been modified to accommodate the old hag's wheelchair-bound existence after our last visit. Today, however, she will no longer need to fret about her future, for hers will come to an end. Liam pulls over to the curb, and I step out of the car, closing the door with a gentle click. The children remain asleep, their absence evident in the stillness that permeates the premises. They are all tucked away in their beds. I effortlessly hop over the small brick fence that encloses the front yard, while Liam opens the trunk. No need for those, I caution him, considering the presence of innocent children within these walls. Then why are we here? He queries. Grabbing the old bat, getting a name and leaving, I tell him, and he sighs but shuts the trunk. I'm still bringing my knives just in case, he mutters. As I approach the entrance, I rap on the door, waiting in vain for a response. It is early, perhaps Mrs. Daly is the sole adult present. However, sneaking around to the back of the building, I discover the door has been left unlocked, an oversight on their part. Stepping inside, it is colder within the orphanage than it is outside. It's like the Arctic in here, Liam snarls. I presume she no longer occupies an upper-level room, I remark, eyeing the worn spiral staircase. Not unless the old bat sprouted wings and learned to fly, Liam chuckles. Oh, she will fly all right, I tell him, walking through the bottom level, looking for where she may have had her room moved to. It is the sounds of banging around that alert me to which one. It sounds like she has fallen out of bed. Her annoying screeching voice curses, making my upper lip pull back over my teeth as I push open the door. The room smells of dirt. We haven't even touched her, and she's already dirty, Liam yells, and his head lifts to stare at us from where he's stuck by his bed, his wheelchair overturned. His eyes widen, and he's scared. Haven't you done enough? She says, visibly shaking. Nope, but I will make it quick. All I need is a name, an address, I tell her, gripping her shoulders while Liam turns the wheelchair upright. I lift her, dropping her into the seat, and she clutches the armrests so tightly her knuckles turn white. How about a nice cup of tea, love? You look rather parched. I make an outstanding brew, Liam says, grabbing the handles and steering her out. There are children here, she stammers, flinching as she passes me when I hold the door open for them. Well, what would an orphanage be without children? I retort, trailing behind as Liam leads her into the kitchen. He glides around the space with practiced ease, his theatrics serving to alleviate her anxiety, a prelude to her impending demise. What have I done this time? What did the king order you to do to me? She asks, her lips quivering. Liam chuckles, finding an apron hanging by the stove and putting it on before flicking the kettle on. The children will be up any minute, I have to start making their breakfast soon, she claims. Liam snorts. You can't even reach the counter. What use would you be in a kitchen? Liam asks her, and her eyes prick with tears. Regardless, today will mark the end of your suffering. Answer truthfully, and I will make it swift. fail to do so, Liam interrupts, swiftly plunging a knife into her hand, his other hand clamping over her mouth as she gasps in horror. Understand? I inquire, folding my arms across my chest, my glare fixed on her. She wheezes, her withered face turning crimson as she stares at her hand, the knife protruding through her flesh and impaling the wooden armrest. Oh, right. Almost forgot, Liam remarks, yanking the blade free. Ah. No need for that. You're a big girl. Liam admonishes her as she opens her mouth to scream, wielding the knife before her face. He proceeds to wipe it clean on the apron tied around his waist. I should get myself one of these, he muses, admiring the floral pattern. Do you have one with skulls instead of flowers? Not that I'm complaining, though, he adds cheekily. Mrs. Daly shakes her head, fresh tears streaming down her cheeks as her mouth hangs agape. She bears an uncanny resemblance to those carnival clowns with gaping mouths waiting to catch balls. Never mind then, this one suits me just fine, Liam taunts, wiggling his jean-clad behind in front of the frail woman. Does it make my look big? He jests, prompting me to shake my head, attempting to stifle my laughter as he parades around the kitchen. She shakes her head in response. Well, that was a lie, wasn't it? No matter, I'll let it slide. One lump of sugar or two? He asks, receiving only wide-eyed silence in return. You strike me as someone who prefers two. Let's make it 3, you seem like a bitter old, he remarks, turning back to prepare the coffee. Once Liam finishes brewing the drinks, he hands me mine, and I take a sip, observing Mrs. Daly wince as he thrusts the cup into her injured hand. Bottoms up, it's piping hot. We wouldn't want it to go cold, he remarks, sipping his own coffee. Ah, now that's a fine blend. What brand is this? He inquires, glancing back at the counter where an expensive-looking jar is displayed. Where did you order this from? He probes. Online, she stammers. Good. Write down the website before I end your life, he commands. Mrs. Daly whimpers, pointing to a card affixed to the fridge's corkboard. Liam strides over and plucks it off. Well, that was easy, he remarks, slipping the card into his pocket alongside the coffee jar's label. Meanwhile, Mrs. Daly sips her coffee as if it might somehow delay her inevitable fate. In an effort to entertain ourselves, Liam engages her in idle conversation while I finish my drink. Placing my mug in the sink, I wash it before setting it out to dry. Turning around, I lean against the counter, watching as the woman trembles like a leaf, her eyes fixated on Liam's every move. Liam leans back against the fridge, a wicked grin spreading across his face. So, I hear you have a mighty fine butcher in town, he taunts, causing Mrs. Daly's hand to freeze midair as she goes to take a sip from her cup. I observe her closely, noticing the sudden gulp that betrays her nerves. Now that looks like a guilty face, now doesn't it, brother? Liam says, nudging me. Very guilty. Do you have something to confess, love? Want to get it off your chest before you meet your maker? Liam taunts. Caught off guard by Liam's comment, Mrs. Daly stammers. What do you mean? She says, and I click my tongue. Her fake confusion only fuels our amusement. I decide to play along, my voice dripping with phony innocence. Oh, we were just hoping for a friendly chat, a little slaughter, but if you insist on being difficult, I suppose a little practice won't hurt. I extend my hand toward Liam. Liam, always prepared, retrieves a rolled-up leather pouch from the pocket of his jacket and hands it to me. I unravel it on the wooden bench, revealing an array of gleaming blades. With deliberate movements, I pick up each knife, showing them to Mrs. Daly. The sweat glistens on her forehead as her eyes dart anxiously between Liam and me. Liam's sadistic smile grows wider, and I turn my attention back to Mrs. Daly. Now, which one shall we use? I inquire calmly. She shakes her head vehemently, clutching her mug tightly in her trembling hands. Liam takes the opportunity to snatch the cup from her grasp. Come on now, no need to be coy, Liam sneers. Confess your sins. I never. It was just that one time. I had to feed the children, funds were low, Mrs. Daly stammers, her words tumbling out in a rush of desperation. She probably doesn't even remember. With a cold smile, I tighten my grip on the boning knife. I twirl it between my fingers, relishing in the weight and balance of the blade. Slowly, I move closer to Mrs. Daly, the sound of her racing heartbeat filling the room. The blood from her injured hand pools at her feet, a stark reminder of the power we hold over her. With deliberate precision, I place the back of the blade against her cheek, tracing a chilling path down to her chin. Tilting her head up to meet my gaze, I hold her captive with my cold, grey eyes. Name or the ear goes first, then the toes, then I will deglove your hand, I tell her calmly, my voice laced with a dangerous edge. I have every intention of following through with my threats if she refuses to comply. The horror in her eyes tells me she knows this, too. Doyle Matthews, she blurts out, her voice tinged with fear. And his address? I press, my grip on the knife tightening ever so slightly. 3 Lincoln Way, she answers, her voice barely above a whisper. Any wife or children we should be aware of? I continue, but she shakes her head, tears welling in her eyes. Figures a pig like that would have no family, Liam sneers, his contempt evident in his tone. Go check it out and bring him back, I command Liam. With a nod, he swiftly exits the room. When he leaves, I clean up the blood on the floor and wrap Mrs. Daly's hand in case any of the children wake up. 20 minutes pass before the shrill ring of my phone pierces the silence. Pulling it from my pocket, I answer the call just as a little girl descends the stairs, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Hastily grabbing a tea towel, I discreetly cover Mrs. Daly's wrapped hand. Yep, I answer the call, watching the child as she walks down the stairs. She peers up, hearing my voice, and I wave to her before kicking the wheelchair. Mrs. Daly smiles fakery and waves to her, earning a strange look from the child, who waves briefly as she steps off the last step. I've got him, and I'm on my way back, Liam's voice crackles through the phone. The trunk? I inquire, anticipation coursing through my veins. Nope, he showed me to his store. He's tied up in the cold room, Liam chuckles wickedly. Even better, I respond, ending the call. Now it is time to focus on the little girl before me. What's your name? I ask gently, bending down to her level. She hesitates for a moment before answering. Kimmy, sir, she replies, her voice filled with a mixture of shyness and curiosity. I scoop her up into my arms, holding her securely. Are you hungry, Kimmy? What do you usually have for breakfast? I inquire, noting the furrow in her brows and the rumble of her empty stomach. We haven't had breakfast since Abby and Ivy left, sir. You came with the king, she whispers into my ear, her innocent question catching me off guard. I nod solemnly, glancing at Mrs. Daly, who lowers her head in shame. A low growl escapes my throat as I redirect my attention to Kimmy. Her hair resembles a tangled haystack atop her head, some strands matted and neglected for far too long. What did they usually make for breakfast? I probe gently, hoping to ease the hunger that gnaws at her small frame. That's if any food is in this place. The cupboards looked pretty bare. Pancakes, but Mrs. Daly can't get the flour from the basement. The bag is too heavy for us to lift. We did try, though, Kimmy explains. Very well, I'll fetch the flour. You go and do whatever it is you kids do in the morning, I instruct, gently setting her back on her feet. Can we watch cartoons? She asks before her eyes go to Mrs. Daly, who purses her lips. Yep, and make sure you turn the volume all the way up, I tell her, just as a few more kids start rushing down. Kimmy scampers off to join the other children. More little ones descend the stairs, their excited chatter filling the air when Kimmy tells them they are having breakfast this morning. Within minutes, the room buzzes with activity as I make my way down to the basement. The sight that greets me is chaotic and an utter mess. Flour is spilled haphazardly across the floor, evidence of their futile attempts to scoop it out with cups. Shaking my head at their efforts, I grab a fresh, 50-pound bag of flour and climb the steps. Liam re-enters just as I drop the bag onto the counter, his eyes widening at the sight. What's with the flour? Planning to batter the old hag, he jests, a mischievous glint in his eyes. A snort escapes me before I reply, no, Liam, the kids are hungry. Turning my attention back to Mrs. Daly, I ask, when does your staff usually arrive? Katrina comes in at lunch, she responds hesitantly. Call her in early, I instruct firmly. Liam hands her his phone, and she dials the number obediently. As she carries out our orders, Liam takes it upon himself to count the number of heads in the room, determining how many pancakes would be needed. Who wants pancakes? I hear him call out and all the kids cheer. All right, settle down. Uncle Liam is going to make them, so settle down and watch your dancing puppet show, I hear him say. Then, a little boy stumbles down the stairs, a tattered blanket trailing behind him. 103, that's a lot of pancakes, Liam says, coming back in. Liam's gaze shifts to him, and I catch a whiff of something familiar in the air. A rogue. Mrs. Daly growls softly before realizing who stands beside her. She flinches away, cowering in fear, and the young boy mirrors her reaction, whimpering as he tries to escape back up the stairs. Acting instinctively, I reach out and grab the back of his pants, plucking him off the steps. He can't have been more than 3 years old, dressed in worn-out pajama pants and no shirt. Goosebumps cover his exposed skin, and he clings desperately to his dirt-stained blanket. Ganon the rogue boy's little arm has a deep, purplish bruise, causing him to wail in fear as I take hold of him, making me wonder if it is fresh since my grip appears to hurt him. SHH, SHH. What's your name? I whisper, attempting to soothe him. His gaze shifts anxiously toward Mrs. Daly, who sits nearby, emanating an air of intimidation directed at the child. The boy appears fragile, his emaciated frame attesting to a lack of proper care. Hollow cheeks and sunken eyes accentuated his desolate countenance, while his matted, knotted black curls cascaded down his shoulders. He doesn't speak, a young girl named Kimmy interjects, emerging from the dimly lit room in her tattered pajamas. She seems to be one of the older children here, a fact that strikes me as peculiar because where are the older children? However, seeing a rogue child is more bizarre, and I have a feeling it is just for show in case the king stops by. One thing is apparent: none of these children are cared for properly, and that really grinds my gears. Is he unable to speak, or does he not know how? I inquire, my gaze shifting between Kimmy and Mrs. Daly. Kimmy shrugs, her eyes darting nervously toward Mrs. Daly. It is evident she fears the woman. Mrs. Daly is leaving today, she's retiring. You can speak freely now, she won't harm you, I reassure Kimmy. Biting her lip, she hesitates before scratching at the tangled strands of her hair. I overheard Mrs. Daly arguing with Katrina. Katrina wanted to take him and his brother, but Mrs. Daly refused, Kimmy divulges. He has a brother? I ask with surprise. We haven't seen him in 2 days. He bit Mrs. Daly when she struck Oliver, Kimmy explains, pointing toward the boy in my arms. His name is Oliver. I confirm, receiving a nod from Kimmy. And the brother's name? Logan, sir, she replies. What about Katrina? Does she harm you? I press further. Kimmy shakes her head, her gaze darting nervously toward Mrs. Daly, who stares vacantly out of the window above the sink. She knows she has made a grave mistake, and her death now will be painful. Mrs. Daly had the butcher hurt Katrina for defending them. He broke her arm, but she's okay now, Kimmy reveals, her voice laced with fear. Kimmy, could you find some clothes and socks for Oliver? I request, to which she nods, extending her arms to take him. He timidly moves toward her, and she leads him upstairs while I maneuver Mrs. Daly's wheelchair with my foot. Where is his brother? I demand, my tone sharp as I confront the withered old hag. The kid is nothing but trouble, he bit me like a savage, she sneers defiantly. Where is the boy? I snarl, my patience waning. Liam glares at her, his knife twirling ominously between his fingers as a silent warning. You better answer him. We have no tolerance for child abusers, and you know that, Liam cautions, causing Mrs. Daly to gulp audibly. He's in the laundry room outside, she finally admits reluctantly. Fueled by anger, I storm outside searching for the room, eventually discovering it hidden behind the shed. The sound of whimpering grows louder as I approach the wooden door. Pushing it open, my eyes fall upon another small boy huddled inside a cage beneath a bench next to the washer. A surge of fury courses through me as I crouch down. He appears to be around the same age as Kimmy, his frail form shivering from the cold, covered with numerous bruises and signs of mistreatment. Did Mrs. Daly do this to you? I asked gently, not wanting to scare him further. The boy shakes his head, retreating to the back of the cage. I won't harm you, I am here to help, I reassure him. My brother, please help my brother, he whimpers, flinching away as I break the front door of his cage open. Taking a step closer, I extend my hand toward him. Who put you in here? Was it Katrina? I promise I won't let them harm you, I say, removing my jacket and draping it around his emaciated frame. He hesitates for a moment before finally placing his hand in mine, allowing me to pull him out of the cramped enclosure. How old are you? I ask softly. 8, sir, he replies meekly. Nodding in understanding, I notice his bare feet and swiftly scoop him up into my arms. So was it Katrina? No, she tried to help me. Who brought you out here, then? Daly couldn't have. She wouldn't have got down the back steps. The butcher did, sir, he says as he stares at me, his entire body trembling. Come on, you and your brother are coming home with me, I won't hurt you, but I need you to come inside where it is warm, Liam is inside. You will like Liam, he is making pancakes, I tell him. I carry him inside before stepping into the kitchen. Where's Daly? I inquire, noting her absence, and Liam turns to face me, his eyes take in the boy, but he says nothing about his state. She went to get more flour, Liam informs me, offering a sly wink. I smirk, taking Logan to the living room, where I wrap him in the warmth of a blanket retrieved from the couch. Returning outside, I gather firewood and stoke all the fireplaces, trying to get some heat flowing throughout the space. The aroma of pancakes wafts through the air. Just as I finish setting up the living room fireplace, a woman who must be Katrina walks in, her presence announced by a sniff of the air. She glances at me nervously, her gaze fixating on my face. Who are you? She inquires, her voice tinged with apprehension. Catching a whiff of her fear, I glance at her. I'm Gannon. Liam is out there. I assume you're Katrina. I respond. She nods in confirmation as I set the fire poker down. Where's Mrs. Daly? She asks nervously. In the basement, getting flour for the pancakes, I inform her, prompting a flicker of concern to cross her features. She opens her mouth to speak, but abruptly halts upon spotting Logan by the fire, causing her eyes to widen with surprise. Rushing toward him, she attempts to grab both him and Oliver. Instinctively, I reach out and grasp her arm. I won't harm them, I'm not like Daly, she assures me firmly. I release my grip. She hurriedly tends to the boys. Letting out a sigh, I make my way toward the door. Assist Liam in feeding the children, consider yourself promoted to headmistress, I instruct Katrina, receiving a nod of acknowledgement from her. As I stride toward the kitchen, the anguished groans and cries emanating from the basement grow louder. Do you need any help? Liam offers, his body covered in a dusting of flour and pancake batter covering his hands. Nope, I reply curtly, seizing the knives from the counter before swinging open the basement door. The sound of the radio suddenly fills the kitchen as Liam switches it on, music blaring from its speakers. Descending the stairs, I discover Mrs. Daly sprawled on the ground, desperately attempting to crawl away. Her legs tangled in the wheelchair, she claws at the floor in a futile attempt to escape. Change of plans. I want to hear you scream, I proclaim, my voice dripping with venom. Reaching down, I seize her hair and yanking her head back. And trust me, you will scream, I snarl, relishing the fear in her gaze. Abby, 2 long and agonizing days have passed since Cade abandoned me in this wretched brothel, leaving me to rot in the depths of my despair. Each day, he comes to torment me, a cruel reminder of the power he holds over my life and the little I can do about it. So, when the door swings open once again, I am not entirely surprised to see a woman step inside. However, my surprise quickly turns to shock when I recognize her as the woman who used to park outside my cabin. Her heels click menacingly on the creaking floorboards as she makes her way toward me. Today, she wears a short black dress that clings to her every curve, the outline of her thong visible through the tight fabric. I avert my gaze, not wanting to subject myself to such a vulgar display. I can't help but wonder what purpose she serves here. Is she here to inject me with more of the vile substance that Cade has been using on me, so I can't shift? Or perhaps she has come to inflict some new form of torture upon me. I refuse to shed tears for her because by the sly smile on her face, she has come to witness my torment. She does not deserve the satisfaction. Inwardly, I long for Blair's return. I need reassurance that she is safe. I haven't seen her since that dreadful night when I was forcibly brought to this despicable place, but I've heard whispers through the walls, and I can't get the sound of her screaming out of my head after Cade beat her when he was done with her that night. The woman crouches down beside me, her grip on my chin forcing me to meet her cold gaze. A sneer twists her lips as she shoves my face away with an air of distaste. Cade is on his way, she hisses, her voice dripping with malice. And you better be on your best behavior for my husband. I swallow hard, the sting of her words resonating deep within me. She's his wife? If she thinks I'll fight for him, she is wrong, she can have him. I want no part in the life she shares with that man, and I feel foolish for ever believing in the possibility of happiness or the strength of mate bonds. It seems your precious friend, that queen of yours, has been asking about you, she continues, her voice laced with venom. You so much as breathe a word that jeopardizes the life I have with Cade, and it won't be him you need to fear. I'll order every pack warrior to tear through you, treating you like the home-wrecking whore you are. A bitter laugh escapes my lips. Of course, Cade's wife would be just as depraved as he is. It must have been quite a blow when you learned he had a mate, I retort, glaring defiantly at the woman. Instantly, her hand strikes my cheek, the force of the blow causing me to grit my teeth in pain. And then she grabs hold of my hair, yanking my head back with a cruel force that makes me wince. Accidents happen, my dear, she whispers menacingly. This is my pack. Cade is my mate. You will learn your place. My place isn't here, I spit, my voice filled with defiance. Ivy will come for me. She laughs, a sound devoid of any mirth, before tightening her grip around my throat. Why do you think Cade is coming? To see you, she taunts, clicking her tongue. Your friend won't be an issue after today. Cade is only keeping you around so he doesn't become weak. You would do well to remember that you are nothing to him, just a wormhole, she sneers, her words dripping with mockery. And what does that make you? His dishwasher? I ask. She yanks my hair again and I grit my teeth. Just as pain threatens to consume me, the door swings open once more, and his scent wafts toward me before I even lay eyes on him. A mixture of revulsion and an inexplicable longing washes over me as the Bond recognizes him instantly. I despise the way he can still influence me, even now, when I hate the man more than anyone in this world. There are my girls, having a chat. I see. Cade's voice echoes through the room as he saunters in, dressed in a tailored suit. The woman releases her grip on me and rises to her feet, with a sickeningly sweet smile. Abby dear, it seems you've met my wife Cassandra, he says. He reaches out and brushes her hair off her shoulder before cupping her neck, his lips crashing against hers in a display of vulgar affection. I turn away, my heart aching at the pain that courses through my chest. Even after all he has done to me, I can't deny the hold he still has over my emotions, as much as I hate it. And now, Cade continues, venom lacing his words, the Queen has decided she wants to video chat with you today. She found out about Cassandra, and you, my love, will convince her that everything is just peachy and that you are happy here. With a firm grip on my arm, Cade yanks me to my feet. A flicker of excitement stirs within me. Nobody knows me better than Ivy. She knows my darkest secrets, my deepest fears. She will see through any facade Cade tries to make me put up. He pushes me onto the bed and grips my face tightly. I struggle against his hold, tempted to sink my teeth into his filthy tongue when he forcefully kisses me. But I learned my lesson the hard way last night when he knocked me unconscious. My jaw still throbs from the blow. It won't work, I spit at him when he finally releases me. Oh, I had a feeling you would say that, Cade sneers as he whistles. A struggle ensues outside the room, accompanied by a woman's shrill cries and the desperate wails of a baby. My heart pounds as I rise to my feet, my eyes fixed on the woman being thrown to the floor, clutching a baby who couldn't have been more than a few months old. Anguish etches across her tear-streaked face, her mascara running down her cheeks, smearing her makeup. I glare at the man who callously tosses her aside before turning my attention back to Cade. I'll do it, I declare, my voice filled with determination. Now you will put on your best performance, Abby. Meet Stacy? Stacy, this Abby, he says, and I swallow as he grips her hair, ripping her head back. Now, Stacy, Abby over here is the one who decides if little Jacob here is going to get to live another day, he says. Tears stream down the woman's face. The baby is bundled up, clutched in her arm, and tucked to her chest. Her mascara runs down her cheeks as she stares at me pleadingly. Her bright red hair stuck to her face as tears smudge her makeup and lines trek into her foundation. I'll do it, I tell him as he moves to grab the child. You touch one hair on that baby or harm her in any way, and I will refuse to comply with anything you ask. Leave her be. Cade's hand freezes in midair as he reaches for the boy in her arms. He stands there for a moment, clicking his tongue in frustration, before finally releasing the woman from his grasp. She crawls quickly toward me, clutching the baby tightly, seeking refuge at my feet. Cade snarls at her and moves to grab her, but I step in between them, shielding her from his reach. It seems you do have a backbone after all, Cade remarks with a twisted smile. It will do you no good here. You trap this up, you watch them die, he warns me. You harm them, and you do. I'll happily watch as your world crumbles around you, I warn him. I am the only thing standing between Ivy and the king's wrath. And if our roles were reversed, I know she would do the same. Cade nods and looks at Cassandra, who smiles sweetly before tugging her handbag off her shoulder. She pulls a smaller bag out containing makeup. I sit on the edge of the bed, knowing exactly what will happen next. Mrs. Daly was good at this facade, too, when she wanted sponsors and had covered our scars plenty of times. If I can survive, I can survive anything. Stacy cringes away from her, and Cassandra raises her hand to hit her when Stacy accidentally bumps into her. Rage courses through me, and I grip her wrist. We stand off for a few seconds. Cassandra is clearly shocked I would grab her, especially in front of Cade, who she is expecting to jump to her rescue, but he only chuckles. Now, ladies, no fighting, he says, sitting in the chair in the corner beside the bed. You don't want to jeopardize that future you want so badly, do you? I ask her, and she glares at me. You are asking for death, girlie, she spits, yanking her arm away. Good thing I don't fear it, but I bet you do, I tell her, and she glares at me. I sit on the bed, and Cade clicks his fingers impatiently at her. I shut down, letting her play dress up, solely focused on keeping the woman at my feet and her baby safe from these monsters. Cade forces his blood in my mouth to help heal my split lip, and the gash in my head. Everything else is covered with makeup while Cassandra tells Cade my injuries won't be noticeable because she has some filter on her phone, whatever that means. Azalea, the jostling sensation of movement rouses me from my slumber, my eyelids fluttering open to take in the unfamiliar surroundings. As the fog of sleep dissipates, the memories of the previous night slowly trickle back into my consciousness. I find myself cradled in Kyson's arms as he carries me. The warmth radiating from his body seeps into my bones, easing the residual wooziness that clings to me like a haze. I release a shaky breath, my gaze meeting Kyson's intense eyes as he gazes down at me. With a gentle motion, he lifts me higher, his face burying in the crook of my neck as he inhales deeply. My hand instinctively finds its place on the side of his neck, fingers lightly grazing the skin, and a sense of calm washes over me. The wired and jittery feeling that had coiled within me begins to unwind, replaced by a soothing peace. He moves me, allowing me to wrap my legs around his waist, and I lays against him. Thank the goddess, Kyson breathes, his voice laced with relief and concern. I feel better, I murmur, a yawn escaping my lips. Yet beneath the surface, anger pulses through our bond, radiating from Kyson like an electric storm. Sensing the turmoil within him, I pull my face away from his neck to stare at him, feeling his aura crackling with pent-up fury. What's wrong? I inquire, my voice laced with genuine concern. Someone tried to poison you, Kyson reveals, his tone filled with determination. I promise I will figure out who soon. Until then, you are to remain with Dustin or me. In confusion I knit my brows together, trying to comprehend it. Why would someone want to harm me? I've done nothing to anyone here. Although the gravity of the situation should have sent shivers down my spine, a peculiar distraction captivates my thoughts. My instincts, normally so attuned to danger and survival, seem to be in a state of disarray. No matter how hard I try to focus on the gravity of the situation, all I can think about is the overwhelming desire to taste Kyson. My instincts are going berserk. No matter how much I try to focus on what he is telling me, all I want to do is lick him. Carrying me effortlessly, Kyson leads me to our bedroom. Though perfectly capable of walking on my own, an inexplicable yearning keeps me clinging to him, relishing in his warmth and intoxicating scent. My hand absently rubs the center of his chest, eliciting a chuckle from him. "Something you want?" he asks, amusement etched into his features. "You," I reply simply, my voice laced with need. My instincts swirl chaotically within me, demanding the presence of my mate. Before I can restrain myself, my teeth sink into his chest through his shirt, my claws finding purchase in his shoulder as others claw at his pec through the fabric. A grunt escapes Kyson as he hoists me higher, making me want to climb into his shirt. "Your scent is changing," he purrs, nipping at the mark on my neck as I continue to explore the taste of his skin. A shudder ripples through his body as he tightens his grip on me. Finally stepping into our room, Kyson kicks the door shut with a deft movement of his foot. "You should rest, you had an eventful night, and Abby will be calling this morning," he says, moving toward the bed and gently placing me down on its soft surface. He attempts to stand, but I swiftly wrap my legs around his waist, tugging him closer. My teeth break through his collarbone, drawing another growl from him, and he starts to purr, the calling wrapping around me, and my claws slip out, shredding his shirt even more. Kyson presses his weight down on me, the calling, the low rumble emanating from his chest as he rolls onto his back, pulling me on top of him. My lips trail over his chest, tracing a path of possessiveness, while his hands move with gentle precision up and down my arms and sides. I revel in the sensation of mauling him, my teeth seeking purchase wherever they can find it. His chin drops as I attack his neck, his stubble grazing my cheek, and a primal growl escapes me when he denies me the satisfaction of marking him. "I thought you wanted to speak to Abby," he murmurs, kissing the side of my mouth. "Abby, it has something to do with Abby and it's important, I just can't remember why." My tongue rolls over his chest, my hands clawing at his flesh. "She should be calling soon, Azalea," he reminds me gently, his voice laced with patience, and my teeth nip at him, making him groan. "Abby, remember the thing about Abby." "What is it again?" My tongue glides over his chest, soothing the marks I have left behind, while Kyson's scars remain. A flicker of confusion passes through me as I realize that not all wounds heal at the same pace. It is soon once again forgotten, my sole focus on my desperate need to mark him. I can't think of anything but wanting to crawl inside the man. Desire courses through me so strongly I can't think of anything else. "Love, Abby. She is calling soon," Kyson growls, nipping at my shoulder. I try to shake the fog, consuming me and muddling my thoughts. Kyson smashes me with the calling, and I melt against him, pressing my ear to his chest and listening to the sound emanating from him. "SHH, Abby is calling soon. You want to speak to her, remember?" Kyson says softly, the calling growing stronger and making my eyelids heavy. I yawn, pressing my face into his chest. "Abby. Think of Abby, Azalea." If you don't answer her call, I don't want you to hate me for missing it, so you need to focus. You can mark me afterward, he purrs, kissing the top of my head. His finger strokes my hair. My claws slip out of his chest as his calling turns to a sedative. That's it, plenty of time for that later, but calm, he purrs, his fingers moving from my hair and trailing up and down my spine. I blink, fighting the urge to sleep, trying to fight the calling, and my breathing becomes harsher. That's it, love. Fight it. You can fight your urges, just focus on a different emotion or think of Abby, Kyson says. My brain feels like mush. Abby is with Cade. I blink, the fog in my mind dissipating like a morning mist as I remember I am waiting for Abby's call. The name Cade slips into my thoughts, igniting a fierce growl that reverberates through me. The mere mention of his name fuels a surge of hatred within me, even though I have not yet met him. I sit up, blinking, my claws sinking into his chest, and he hisses. I stare down at my hands, and Kyson pulls my claws out, and his blood oozes down his side. I move to lick his wounds, wanting to heal them. It's fine. I cut his words off, running my tongue over the puncture marks. They heal instantly, and I have no idea how I did it, but I can tell my saliva has changed. It tastes different on my tongue. Kyson looks at his chest. The scars remain, which I find odd. They are fresh wounds and should have healed completely. I glance at his face to see the faint scars from the other night. You're not healing, it scarred you. I murmur. Worry about that later. It is because you were angry. See, these healed just fine, he says, pointing to the love bites I gave him. It makes no sense why they would heal so unevenly. They all should have healed. I pinch my brows together when his calling slips out once more. That's it, just focus on something else. I blink. Clarity washes through me like a tidal wave as I remember I am waiting for Abby's call, Cade slipping into my thoughts. What time is it? Just after 10 a.m., so she should be calling any minute, Kyson says, lifting his hips and pulling his phone from his back pocket, handing it to me. Do you remember how to answer it? I nod, unlocking the phone and climbing off him. The moment I do, I immediately feel pulled back to him. I look at the phone in my hand and at Kyson on the bed. It's like a war in my head between what the bond wants and what I need, and that is to ensure Abby was okay. Focus, think of Abby. I nod. It is difficult to keep a coherent thought. However, I'm glad Kyson ignored his instincts to let me mark him, knowing I will regret it if I miss Abby's call. Then the phone rings in my hand, and Kyson, seeing me struggle, moves quickly, answering it, and her face pops up on the screen, snapping me out of my inner battle. Abby. Hey, Cade said you wanted me to call. I dropped my phone in the sink. You know I'm clumsy, she chuckles. I furrow my brows. Abby isn't clumsy. Have you got makeup on? I ask her, staring at her face, trying to figure out why it looks different. The urges coursing through me instantly stifle as I scrutinize her appearance. Abby is far from girly, so her wearing a thick coat of makeup is beyond strange. Something feels off. Yep, do you like it? Cassandra helped me, she says, turning the phone, and I see a woman who looks like she just stepped out of some magazine. Her face is made up perfectly and she looks immaculate. The woman smiles and waves enthusiastically before Abby turns the phone back to herself. "How have you been?" she asks, and I don't miss how her eyes move to someone past the phone. Kyson walks into the bathroom, and I move to the couch. "Cassandra, that is?" I ask. "Cade's wife, they have 3 kids, Abby says, cutting me off and smiling, yet something doesn't feel right, her eyes aren't lighting up the way they usually do. "And you're okay with that?" I ask her. "Well, I can't punish him for marrying before he found me," she says. I squint at her, and Abby then changes the topic of conversation, asking me questions this time. Eager to hear more about what's going on with her, I ask about the pack house, but get only vague answers in response. Kyson comes up behind me and into the camera view. "Hi Abby, you look nice," Kyson says, sending her a wave. She smiles and waves, saying hello. At face value, she seems like her normal, bubbly self. But something is off. Cade says a quick hello over Abby's shoulder. "Well, my king and queen, Abby and Cassandra are about to go shopping," he says. I nod, and he moves away from the camera's view. I can hear him talking to someone but can't quite make out what he's saying. Kyson has turned his attention to the tablet I was using last night, checking my writing. "Well, I will try to call you again soon," Abby says. "I was going to ask if you wanted to come up on the weekend." I ask her, and I see Kyson look at me out of the corner of my eye. "That would be wonderful, I have missed you," Abby says, her eyes lighting up for the first time. "Not this weekend, Abby. A driver won't be available," I hear Cade say somewhere off the side. "It's fine. I will send Dustin to come to get her and your wife, be a girls' weekend," I tell him. Not that I want to see his wife, but I know it might seem suspicious if I don't invite her too. The kids have a soccer match, and it's Abby's first one. She doesn't want to miss it, Cade says, and Abby nods before rubbing behind her ear. "Yes, I promised the kids I would go, I forgot." "Maybe the one after," she smiles, yet my focus was on her hand rubbing behind her left ear. My neck itches, and I instinctively rub the scar on the back of my neck where my hairline is as I nod. Something in the pit of my stomach tells me something is amiss. I cannot ignore it. "Sounds great," I tell them, plastering a fake smile on my face. Abby's smile wavers slightly. "Well, I will let you go, call me tomorrow night," I tell her, and Cade pops back into view. "I will make sure she does," he says, kissing her cheek in a show of affection. Abby blows me some kisses. "I love you," she says. "More than my life," I reply. "Yep, you know that," she says, smiling, and my heart hammers in my chest. I press my lips in a line as she rubs the spot behind her ear. She didn't say it back. She always says it back. "I love you, I will speak with you tomorrow," I tell her. She nods, and we both hang up. She seems good. "Hopefully, Gannon will get off my back now," Kyson says. She didn't say it back, I tell him, staring at the blacked out screen. "Pardon?" Kyson asks. She always says it back. I tell him. Kyson's brows furrow. She looked fine, she said so herself. They are making her say that, Kyson. She didn't say it back. I tell him, becoming angry. I know you miss her, but, she didn't say it back. She always says it back. We are leaving now, we are bringing her home, I tell him. Kyson growls and shakes his head. Cade will bring her up the following weekend. She seems fine, looked great, and seems to be getting along with Cassandra, Kyson says. Is he thick? Did he not hear what I said? Anger courses through me, the raging lust burning out. I know Abby, and I try to explain about her touching the scar behind her ear. But Kyson looks back at me like I have 3 heads. I know Abby better than I know myself. Kyson reaches out for me, but I pull away. We need to go get Abby, now. I can't do that, Azalea. She wants to stay, she told me herself when I asked. I don't care what she told you. I am telling you, it was an act. That was not Abby, not my Abby. I yell at him. Kyson reaches for my hand, and I jerk it away from him. Don't touch me. We need to get Abby, I snap, and he growls at me. You are being ridiculous. She is fine, he retorts, stepping closer, but I take a step back. Azalea. We need to go get Abby. I snarl. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.